Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the third episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. So, this episode starts off right where the last one ended, which was dealing with the aftermath of Abomination being taken out of prison to go into a fight in... where was it? It was in Shang-Chi anyway, the movie, where he fights Juan. Anyway, and then he gets brought back into his facility. So, She-Hulk now has to deal with this, and she goes to talk to Abomination, and what she finds out is he's claiming that he had no choice in leaving, that Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, forced him out of his cell to fight him, and because of that, he was, rewarded with the idea of staying in Wong's palace, or Wong's sanctuary, I should say, and Abomination decided against it and wanted to go back into his cell, where he belonged in his mind, at least for now, because he is fighting to be released. So anyway, there was they were getting ready for a trial, and she's trying to talk to him, and he's telling all this. So now she gets back, and she's now trying to figure out who Wong is and how to get a hold of him. And that's going to be a tough thing for her because she really doesn't know him that well. So while this is going on, we have Jennifer's former coworker, the biggest a-hole on the planet, wanting to basically file a suit against a specific creature who is a shape-shifting elf from New Asgard, and claiming to be Megan the Stallion, and thought he was dating her, and spent over $175,000, and he wanted to be reimbursed from that money from this magic elf, shape-shifting elf. Sorry. So we see that Jennifer refuses to take that case, and so she gives it to the other guy. And while this is going on, Juan shows up, and so she begins to talk to Juan, and Juan's basically like, yeah, no, he's telling the truth. Like, I forced him out, and then I told him he could stay with me, in Sanctuary, and he said he was adamant about going back to prison. And so she was very happy with that information and decided to add him to the docket to kind of defend Abomination. So, both of these cases are going on at once. So we have the elf who has already tried to impersonate the victim and trying to say that he no longer wants to press charges. And then she finally shows up to court, and he's trying to convince the court that this guy really thought that he was dating Megan Thee Stallion, where the woman, the attorney, the defendant is basically claiming that he was in a relationship with the elf knowing who she was, and the fact that he liked the idea of the role playing that they had, and that he spent that money in a relationship that he chose to be a part of. And, he's against it, blah, blah, blah. And then they decide that they're going to have witnesses to deal with this and everything else. So in the end, the judge decides that they're actually going to have a court case, and that it's not going to be dismissed. So she then transforms into the judge and tries to change the verdict. And obviously, that doesn't work out. Now, Juan is being... he does not show up to the hearing right away. So She-Hulk is having to deal with having all these character witnesses talk about how great Abomination is and how well he is doing, since being in prison, and how he's trying to do the very best he can. And finally, Wong comes in, and Wong basically claims what he's already been claiming, that, it was him that did it, blah, blah, blah. And they're not convinced in the sense that Abomination should be released because he could go on a murderous rampage. And that's where Abomination decides that he's going to transform himself into Abomination to show that he's in full control of himself and he's not going to be angry. Which sort of backfires short term, because they start freaking out that he's going to go on a murderous rampage, and Jennifer basically is ordering him to transform back. And then she explains to everyone there that, he just demonstrated that he could have broken out at any time and chose not to. And that because of that, he then has shown that he's willing to atone for his crimes and stay in prison. They decide that they're going to discuss it further. They attempt to try to arrest Wong in the sense that he committed a crime. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go," and he just teleports. He makes a portal and gets out of there. And she's like, "What am I gonna do, right?" So, excuse me. We have that now. They're waiting for the verdict on whether or not the appeal is going to happen, where he's going to be released. In the other court case, Jennifer is a star witness to the other case, and he puts her on the stand, and the guy's like, "Why are you putting her on the stand? I had all these other people for character witnesses to help me out." And the other lawyer's like, no, she's our best chance of winning. And so she basically claims that she knows him well enough to know that he really thought that he was dating Megan Thee Stallion because he's so arrogant and so self-centered that he would never in a million years think that somebody was trying to dupe him, because of course he's perfect in everyone's eyes, that he could have gotten Megan Thee Stallion. And basically claims him to be just an incompetent idiot. And it wins the court over, and because of that, they win. And that they're going to be paid back the $175,000. And a surprise twist, Megan Thee Stallion is in the courtroom, who's basically stating that there is only one Megan Thee Stallion, which I find hilarious, by the way. And that's how that part goes. And then we have the rest. We have the return of Abomination and Jennifer waiting and getting the results of the verdict. And it turns out that they agree that he's going to be on probation, but on stipulation that he's never allowed to be turned into Abomination again, and that they will give him an inhibitor that will weaken him. So it's unclear if it stops him from transforming or if it just makes him weaker. Also, we have not seen the device or anything like that. Like that. So we'll have to wait and see if we ever see that. Now, that being said, we have him winning. Then we have Jennifer, who then goes on television claiming that, she is who she is. She didn't pick the name She-Hulk. Some guy did who took like 5 seconds, and now it's stuck. And she's stuck with it, and it's never going to go away. And she's Jennifer, and she, called Abomination by his real name, which, of course, Emil Belowski? I hope I'm saying it right. And that they are not defined by their abilities, and that they are humans just like everyone else, granted with enhanced powers. And she's trying to be serious here. And then they're like talking about how we're going to talk about fashion and her diet, her workout and her diet later. And she's like, "Are you serious? Like that? I did not discuss this at all." So we have that, and then now she's going back to her home, and she's being attacked by these guys who have enhanced weapons. Now, for those of you who aren't comic book fans, they are called the Wrecking Crew. Now, in the comics, I believe that they were given Asgardian abilities from their weapons. So, like, there was some sort of lightning strike, if I remember correctly. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it was construction equipment and weapons that were infused with Asgardian power and magic that made them super strong, super durable, and all the other things. So we have that, and now we have these guys with it, but they don't seem to have the super strength behind it. it was unclear at how enhanced these weapons were because they didn't seem to do any damage to her. Now, the argument could be that they did not have the full strength of it, blah, 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 blah. It's unclear if this is actually the Wrecking Crew or not, but I really think it is because it's the closest thing we're going to get. I personally think, at least, I think it's like the first wave. It's like they haven't actually become the Wrecking Crew yet, but I think they're going to be. So what we found out is, one, Jennifer beat them all with ease. She also was not able to damage their weapons, which is very significant in this, I feel. That she was unable to destroy any of their weapons. She was unaffected by their weapons, or at least did not take any severe damage from it. But I want to make it clear that she did not destroy any of their weapons, and she did hit them. I think all of them, at least 2 for sure. But anyway, and then when they escaped, they were talking about how they were trying to get her DNA. Now, it's unclear as to why, and that they have a boss who wants her DNA. So it'll be interesting to see. Could we see that it's the Kingpin? Very possible. Very possible. Because he would want somebody like She-Hulk, or somebody with the equivalent strength of She-Hulk on his side. But it's unclear. I mean, it could be the Broker, it could be that, or it could even be Wonder Man. It could be Wonder Man. It could be Wonder Man who wants her abilities because he could absorb her powers. So it could be a wide variety of things. I'm thinking, though, after talking about it, it's going to be down to either 2 of them. It's either going to be Kingpin or Wonder Man. And the reason why I'm going with Wonder Man more, because it would make more sense because a Titanana was already introduced, and that's his girlfriend. So it would make more sense for that to be the case. But overall, we'll have to wait and see. Now, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. I thought there was a lot of fourth wall breaks that I thought were awesome. We also got the twerking dance at the post-credit scene with her and Megan Thee Stallion, which I think is awesome. We also get to see them trolling on everyone who hates on this show, or that they thought was going to hate this show, and perfect. I mean, they've been doing an excellent job. I think this is exactly what I wanted it to be, and it's just proving time and time again that they are doing it and setting it in the real world, where this is exactly how the people of the world would react to a female Hulk after having the Hulk there for years. And I think that's just perfect. And it just demonstrates how awful it is in the world still, and how biased it is. But that being said, I think that's what makes the show so much better, because it has that level and layer of realism that unfortunately most people aren't going to see because they're too oblivious. But I definitely love it. Now, as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beast the Eel signing out. Have a great night.